How are you, Shell?
Doing very well. How are you?
Yep, fine. I go tomorrow to get my walking cast.
Oh, good.
Oh,
That'll
I'll
be a
be able
relief.
to walk.
Huh,
So I'm really excited about that.
you should be.
Yeah.
That's great.
Here's our fearless leader.
Mm,
Good,
on time.
good afternoon, everybody.
Oh, there.
Right.
Hello there.
How's everyone doing today? You got a couple of thumbs up and a couple of maybe uncomfortable chuckles. I hope everyone's doing well, and we'll give it. Looks like there's a few more that are logging in right now, so we'll give it another couple of seconds before we get officially started. But it is good to see everybody that's on.
Mm.
That means we're still well.
Well, even with COVID, you can log on to Zoom.
That is true.
Well, that's true enough.
Before we get officially
With all the minutes.
but it is good. All right. We will we'll go ahead and get officially started. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us here on the Zoom. And thank you for those that are joining us through your televisions on TLG TV. That, for anyone who may not know, is our in-house TV channel, channel 998. And this meeting, as well as a lot of the meetings that we have, are shown on that channel as well. So that way, hopefully, the information that we share can be reached and heard by as many residents as possible. Well, I guess we'll get right into the thing that's on everybody's mind, and that's COVID, right? We'll get all the COVID information out of the way, and then hopefully move on to some more interesting or exciting things, or at least things we're not totally tired of hearing about by now. We obviously, these last few weeks have been challenging weeks for us here at the community, greater community as well. We've seen I'll call it an alarming increase in COVID cases. It's really interesting to see how this weird, sometimes unexplainable virus continues to thrive. We are obviously seeing more cases now than we have, at least for quite some time. The number is going down a little bit now, or at least it appears that way, and we'll get into the specifics in a minute. But it's interesting because we're seeing obviously more cases, and we're seeing actually that there's a higher percentage of positive cases where the resident or team member is experiencing symptoms than we've previously seen. So there's more symptoms per person, but also the symptoms seem to be more minor overall than they have in the past. So at least our experience here within the community is that when somebody tests positive, that they're more likely to experience symptoms, but those symptoms aren't as severe as they have been in sort of months or years now past with COVID. So where we're at, our most recent update is we're total count of 20 cases, 10 residents and 10 team members. We had a few cases that were cleared, and then we had 1 or 2 new cases within the last a day or so. And we anticipate seeing that over the course of the next few days, possibly weeks, hopefully not too long, where cases are clearing, and hopefully the new cases are we have fewer new cases than we have cases that are clearing, and it appears to be the case, at least right now. But obviously we'll keep monitoring it and keep providing updates as frequently as we need to. The last or the most recent positive cases amongst residents, the most recent new positive cases amongst residents in residential living, the last one was on July 6th. So that's eight days ago. We haven't had any new positive cases amongst residential living residents since the 6th. And in the lodge, in assisted living, the most recent positive case was identified on the 8th, so 6 days ago. And really what our target is to go 2 weeks without any new cases. Once we go 2 weeks without any new cases, and this is sort of based on level of living, then that's when things start to sort of transition back to normal. So for residential living, we're looking at potentially, if we don't see any new positive cases between now and then, the 21st is when we would plan to reopen the dining room and resume some in-person group activities and events. And if there are no new positive cases between now and the 23rd, that's our current target for assisted living, to reopen the dining room and resume in-person group activities and events. So we're about halfway there for both residential living and assisted living. Any questions about about anything COVID related?
Yeah, I was kind of taken aback when we had 10 team member cases in the last listing. That's more than we've had in a while.
Yeah, it sure is. It is something that we are really focused on. It's really interesting because we, on the one hand, it would sort of be
Go ahead.
would sort of be simpler if we could sort of connect all of the cases together and sort of draw a clear path of where first case happened, and then sort of where it spread and how it spread from there. What we're seeing both amongst team members as well as amongst residents is quite a few, if not the majority of the cases, are isolated cases that don't appear, at least from our review, to be connected. There's certainly some that do appear to be connected, but we're just seeing sort of cases pop up, and oftentimes we can trace them back to there was a wedding that somebody went to, or somebody went on a trip and they came back and they were positive after they came back. With team members as well as with residents, obviously the last 2.5 years now, a lot of things have been placed on hold, whether it be weddings or oftentimes our team members are, they'll take a trip once a year, an international trip, possibly to visit family. And those trips have, for the most part, been put on hold for the last several years. And so we're starting to see team members now that are taking those trips, and they should. They need to. Those things obviously increase the risk. So we're at a time where the virus seems to be more contagious than it has been, at least in the previous months, and there's a lot more sort of outside activity, and which creates more opportunities for infection, which is certainly a challenge. Any other thoughts or comments or questions, COVID related, before we move on? We had a testing clinic this morning. I don't know what the total count was of residential living residents that were tested, but thank you to all those that went and were tested, and there were no new cases identified.
Bradley, have you kept up with how many people have had it more than once?
We have that information, and I thought of that actually right before we started this call, because I think someone had mentioned it on the last call. I don't have the information in front of me. It's not a lot, but there are a few. I don't know the
Less than
exact
10,
number.
maybe, do you think?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are seeing some reinfections, but for now, at least, they're very few.
Good.
All right. Any other questions before we move on? All right. Well, if you think of anything, let me know. Happy to come back to that subject if need be. Couple of team member related announcements. Most of you have probably heard or read by now that we are looking forward to our new Director of Dining Services that's scheduled to join the team next week. Jeremy Garrett is going to be a great addition to our team. That role, Director of Dining Services, is the role that was previously held by Jerry Austin, who you all probably know moved far. He moved to India with his family. And I heard from Jerry not too long ago, and it sounds like they're doing well. I know he's been in contact with several team members and residents. He says he misses the community dearly, but they're doing well. And again, so Jeremy is scheduled to start next week. I believe on Monday is when he will be here. We've also extended an invitation, and that they're extended an offer, and that offer has been accepted for an executive chef. And we will probably hoping to have an official announcement in the weekly updates tomorrow to introduce him to the community. I don't know if it will be complete by tomorrow. So within either tomorrow or within the week, we'll have a formal memo announcing our new executive chef to the community. And August 1st, I think, is the scheduled start date for the executive chef. And the executive chef oversees, so the director of dining services oversees everything dining related. The executive chef oversees the culinary side, so everything specifically food related, not necessarily service related. Sherry's still with us, and she's doing well, working hard, as we all know. And we've also added a new dining room supervisor named Catalina, and she started officially actually started a couple of weeks ago. And once we reopen the dining room, everyone will eventually have the opportunity to meet Catalina. Catalina is actually someone who Sherry has worked with in the past, and when the opportunity presented itself to fill that position, Sherry immediately reached out to Catalina. So we all know Sherry's doing a great job, and we look forward to everything that Catalina will bring to the dining services team. Also, a couple of other exciting announcements that may not directly impact most of you, or at least at this point. But we have three exciting announcements for team members within the health center, and that's obviously our skilled nursing here at the Terraces. We have, let's see, where do I start? Many of you have probably met Becca or Rebecca, especially over the past few weeks. She may have swabbed your nostrils this morning. Becca's one of our charge nurses in the health center. She's a registered nurse, and she is, in addition to her responsibilities as a charge nurse, she has been acting as the relief or the backup infection preventionist, supporting Dana, who's our full-time infection preventionist. Becca has been doing a phenomenal job, and she has just accepted an offer of a promotion into a nurse supervisor role within the health center. And so we're excited for Becca. We're excited for the health center, and for the leadership that she'll provide in the health center. Also, another update with another existing team member. Many of you have probably met over the years Parul. Parul Patel is one of our charge nurses that's been in the health center for at least 10 years. And she is a very, very strong nurse. And she has accepted an offer to move into a position that we call the Director of Staff Development. In that capacity, sometimes we use the term nurse educator, but as a Director of Staff Development, Parul will essentially, her primary responsibilities will be overseeing the certified nursing assistants that work in the health center, who are providing care in the health center, and then also overseeing and providing the ongoing continuing education programs, primarily for our certified nursing assistants, and also to a degree for our licensed nurses in the health center. So we're excited for that transition to take place. Both of those positions start on the 24th. And then one last exciting development in the health center. We have another nurse named Jeanette Sandoval. Jeanette's been with us for about 8 years now. She was a registered nurse, And while she was working in the health center, she had been going to school, and in about 2.5 years ago, she became a nurse practitioner, and which was exciting, great opportunity for her to grow within her career. So she left sort of to pursue a new opportunity working as a nurse practitioner. She stayed with us on an on-call basis, and we're excited that she's actually going to be coming back to the health center full-time in a new role as a wound care specialist. We're seeing as the needs, there's a lot more wound care needs for residents that are coming out of the hospital, residents that are in the health center, whether it be pressure related issues or other skin issues or post-op surgical wounds. We've decided there's a need and an opportunity for us to have a full-time wound care specialist. So she'll start in that capacity on August 1st. And we're excited not only to have someone in that position, but to have a nurse practitioner who's in that position. So I think that it's another way that our health center will be able to continue to excel and provide great care. So excited for those updates in the health center. Couple of other quick other items to mention, and then obviously open it up for any other topics you'd like to discuss. On August 11th, mark your calendars. Every year about that time, early August, we provide a mid-year financial performance report. So we will spend about an hour together, and we will take a look at the financial performance of the community. I'll provide sort of a high-level overview of where we're at year to date for the first 6 months of the year. We'll review our revenue, expenses, everything in between, and then talk a little bit about what we sort of anticipate for the next 6 months of the year. So that again will be August 11th, and I don't remember the time. I think it's 1:30. Actually, it is 1:30 because it's the time that we would typically have this community chat.
1:30 is what I have.
Yeah, so August 11th, 1:30. We hope to be able to have that presentation in person in the GRA, and it would also be available to be viewed remotely, but we will know definitively, I guess, the day of. But we're planning on meeting in person, but that could certainly change depending on how things develop with COVID between now and then. And last but certainly not least, and I think we mentioned this maybe last time as well, we are going to be rolling out a new resident satisfaction survey process. Give you a little bit of history. Ever since I started here at the community, at least for the first several years, we did once a year annual resident satisfaction surveys, and we would typically have sort of a big event where we'd have residents all come together and complete the surveys all together, and then obviously provide opportunities for those that couldn't make it to complete the surveys as well. Historically, it was sort of all done pen and paper. We transitioned to having the surveys available online. And then about, I don't know, a couple of years ago, we transitioned to a new process where residents would have the opportunity to complete a satisfaction survey once a year on the during the month of their move-in anniversary. So if you moved in March, then every March you'd complete a survey. And there was a lot of thinking actually that went into that decision. And in the end, after a couple of years of doing that, we realized that it just wasn't the best option. So we're going back in a way to a similar process that we've done previously, where residents will all have the opportunity to complete the surveys at the same time every year. We've changed contracted partners that help us facilitate the surveys. And we actually partnered with the same company that helped us facilitate the survey that we did last year for the U.S. News and World Report surveys. And so what we're doing is sort of combining what would be our typical resident satisfaction surveys with that U.S. News and World Report survey. As we went through that process, we found it to be very valuable. It was a process that made it much easier for residents and family members to complete the surveys, and the information, the data that we're able to get back is much more valuable the way that it's presented. So that, I believe, is going to take place in October. And what we did last time and what we would like to continue to do is have maybe 6 or 8 residents that help us acting as survey champions. And as a survey champion, what the resident survey champions did last year was help promote the surveys, help provide information to other residents about how to complete the surveys. And then we had a couple of days where we had sort of open survey clinics, if you will, where residents could come and complete the surveys. And the survey champions helped other residents complete the surveys during that process. So if you or anyone you know may be interested in acting and as a resident satisfaction survey champion, let me know. And we would be happy to put you to work to help through that survey process. Those are the big items that I wanted to make sure to mention, but I'll open it up to any questions, comments, or topics that any of you would like to discuss.
So how do we let you know? Through Kendall or directly to you, or what do we do? How do we let you know?
You can, either way, you can shoot me an email. You can send me a chat message. You can let Kendall know. If you let either one of us know in any way, shape, or form, with the exception of maybe smoke signals we may miss, or anything else, any of the traditional methods of communication, that would be great. What else is on your mind?
Short meeting.
Yeah, it might be. And I can't necessarily actually see everyone on my screen. So if you feel free to just unmute yourself and start.
When we'll be able to play games and stuff indoors? Is it the same rules as far as the dining room?
Yeah, we sort of couple those two things together, dining and group activities and events. So again, our target for residential living is the 21st.
Can't some games and things be played outside? Not indoors, but tables moved outside or something?
Oh, good point. Yes. Outdoor activities, events are certainly, those are okay as of now. So if there's anything specific that you'd like, to see, or you'd like to have our team help facilitate, reach out to Dana Arango, and she can help make those arrangements for outdoor activities or events.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We
Good
can
question.
do them after dinner, early, right after dinner when the weather is cooler.
That's a good point, because it has been hot
Mm.
these days.
Did you say how long you think the dining room will remain closed?
God,
Yeah.
if you get here on time.
Yeah, our the target date as of now is to reopen the main dining room on the 21st, so 1 week from today, and that is under the assumption, the hope that there are no new positive cases amongst independent living residents between now and then.
How often will you be testing?
We have we don't know yet. We have been doing twice weekly clinics for the past few weeks. We have not yet determined if we'll have more clinics next week or ongoing weeks. We're sort of evaluating that today and tomorrow, and we'll share. We'll probably have some more information in the weekly updates tomorrow. What we may do is not have the in-person clinics, but have tests available for residents to either come and be tested, or to potentially self-administer tests. We're sort of working through all of that right now. So more details to come. Just by show of hands, actually, this may be this could be interesting and helpful. And obviously, it's a small data set that we have here, but maybe just by a show of hands, if would, at least the residents that I can see here,
Oh,
would you be comfortable self-administering COVID tests? I don't know if anyone has.
gotta turn my TV down.
No,
Oh,
I couldn't understand how to do it.
Okay, all right. So maybe a few were yes, and
That's
and,
just me, though. I'm just one person. There might be others who are very comfortable doing it.
You're just one person, Angela, but you're an important one.
I couldn't do it myself. I had to have a nurse do it.
I
Okay.
can, but I would worry about people not doing it properly.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we're gonna, that's
Yeah, that's those are all good comments. Appreciate it. Okay. What else? What else is on your mind? What else would you like to talk about?
Listener Shelley.
I'm going on a cruise in the Caribbean with my son for a week and the whole family. And I have to have a negative test 2 days before. Would a self-test work, or would it have to be, I'd have to have proof or something that it was negative?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but my experience has been, for travel related purposes, or different venues that require proof of a negative test. Oftentimes they require a PCR test, which is the one that needs to get sent out to the lab. And so that's not something that could be done with a self-test. We have the ability to do PCR tests here. To administer them here, and then we send them out to a lab for processing. The challenge is we don't necessarily have control of how long those tests take to turn around and come back. So I would, in that case, I would probably recommend not doing the test here at the terraces, but through another provider that could probably guarantee a faster turnaround time than what we can do here. We'd hate for you to have the test done here and then we don't get the result back in time and then you miss your trip.
Do you
But
know
have-
where they do PCR tests close by?
Honestly, I don't know. But I could find out. If you contact your primary care physician's office, typically they can do them there. There are, I know in certain areas down in my neighborhood, they have sort of testing clinics that are available that are outside of doctors' offices. But I don't actually know here nearby. I don't know if anyone else here on the call might know.
I used Carbon Health, which is located out at the airport in San Jose. And they had a overnight result before I took the flight to Barcelona.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Shell. And thank you, Elaine, for that question. Have fun on your trip. That sounds nice.
Oh, can't wait.
I see Christy has joined us, and you're probably making her a little bit jealous. Christy and her husband, Christy's our HR director. Every year, I think every year, Christy and her husband take a cruise. And I know Christy's been desperately missing her annual cruise.
Yes, we've been fortunate enough to be on, I think, about 20 cruises, and then COVID hit. So we haven't done it. Not fearful of getting COVID, but just those rooms are a little tiny. So don't want to be stuck in a tiny room, but enjoy, definitely. Where are you going, Elaine?
The Caribbean.
Which islands?
Oh, I've got it written down.
Oh, that's okay.
But I can't tell you right offhand.
Is it Eastern or Western?
I don't know. I just do what my son says and be at a certain place at a certain time, and
All
I'll let
right.
him take care of it all.
All right. Well, you have fun. Both sides of the Caribbean are great.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Let's see what else. Any other questions, comments, feedback, suggestions?
I guess not.
I guess not.
We must be a
Wow.
happy group.
Well, I think maybe we call it a meeting. Flo, is there anything you can think of that I've missed, that I've failed to mention? All right.
Where's our one lady that always has something to say?
Linda.
Where
The
is
heck is-
Linda Sampson?
She's been
Linda,
very
yeah,
sick.
where the heck is Linda?
She is
She
sick.
always has something to say.
She is sick, and it is
Oh.
not COVID. But she
And it
is
isn't-
flat on her back.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay, well, what a birthday. Thanks, Bradley. Bye.
All right. Well, I guess we'll call it a meeting. Thank you all for joining. And
Thank you.
if there's anything you think of that you wish you would have asked, feel free to reach out.
There's garden boxes available if anybody wants to have a box in the garden. The list is in the mail room.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have an enjoyable afternoon. Appreciate your time.
Bye, Bradley.
Bye.
Bye.